Hey guys, Jafo here with another painting tutorial video. Today we're working with the Massive Darkness enemy box, but not just any Massive Darkness enemy box. We've picked the Reptisaurians, and by popular request, we have decided to go with this guy, the greater roaming monster, Reptisaurus Rex. So we're going to quick take a look at this big old beastie. And this is a very large miniature. Here's a Games Workshop Elf Warrior that is being painted in our studio right now for size comparison. So you guys can see how, inappropriately sized he is. So there you go. Let's put him to the side for the moment. I'm going to show you the color palette that we're going to work with. For the skin, we're going to go with a very pale blue to try and replicate what's on the art. So we're going to start with an all-over coverage of Celestra Gray. We're going to give that a Celia Green highlight, or shade, I should say. Then we're going to highlight the skin back up with Ulthuan Gray. And depending on how bright that gets, we may touch it up with a little bit of finer highlights with White Scar. I think I've decided to use the fang on all of his spines and the almost like the stones that protrude out of his skin here, the large thick scales, I guess. For his cape, we'll use our ever popular Mephiston Red. Excuse me. We'll cover that up with Nuln Oil. Probably brighten it back up with Mephiston Red. Oh yeah. I'm being handed more paints because God knows I don't have enough here. Looks like the claws and talons are black, so we'll use some of that in black. Our popular combination here, Xandri Dust, Agrax Earthshade, and Ushapti Bone as a highlight. We'll do his teeth. I might try to do, if you look, he's got, I don't know, like Joker lips. It's almost, I don't know if he's supposed to be bleeding or what. I don't know, he kind of looks goofy, and I don't want that to look like clown makeup, so we're not going to, probably won't do that. We are going to hit Moot Green, though, on that tongue and give him that really cool poisonous-looking tongue. And then, as always, as you saw the extra pot of paint come flying in at the end there, a layer of Dawnstone for the basing material. As always, these items are subject to change on the fly, and I will update you as I update them myself. Today we'll be working with our small layer brush when we do need to get in for small details, a medium base brush when we need it, a small dry brush is one of them we're going to work with. I don't know if we're going to use any dry brushing techniques, but hell, let's get it out. We got our brush that we use to scoop paint onto our palette. I had a small disaster in my paint box the other day, so everything's kind of all mixed up. We're going to use a medium base brush and probably even a large base brush today. This guy is pretty beefy, so a large base brush, we'll hit it there. It looks like we need to hit it into a cleaner bath first before we start, because I still see metal everywhere on it. So that's what I got for you. I am going to get started. I will quick get my paints ready. The first color that we're going to need today is Celestra Gray, so I will clean this all up, get my paint on my palette, get my brushes ready to rock for you guys, and we'll be back to paint him. Alright, so we are going to start with our large base brush, and when we get around into details that I don't want to mix up, we'll probably switch to the medium base brush, but we're going to do just an all-over coat of Celestra Gray. And literally you want to cover everything up into the loincloth, and then everything else. So cover everything that's not cloth, which on this guy is pretty much everything. So I will get banging that out, and I'll be right back and show you what it looks like, guys. There we go. We now have like a mass majority of this guy with a base coat on him, and he looks interesting. I left the large fins unpainted because we were going to be using the fang to give it that dark blue look to it. So the next step that we are going to do is we're going to do an all-over shade with Celia or Colia, however you want to pronounce that, Colia Green Shade. It is a bluish, excuse me, it is a bluish green color. I'm going to use a medium shade brush here. It's just a nice brush for sopping up a lot of shade. And you're just literally going to paint that on as so. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to do all of that, and I'll be back shortly. There we go. We now have the Celia or Colia green shade added. And wow, did that make such a difference to him. We're going to break out some more of that color. And this time I'm going to switch to, well, my medium layer or base brush and probably my small layer brush as we're going to switch to Mephiston Red. And we're going to block all the color out on his loinclothy thing. So just going to paint all of the cloth that is around him, and I'll be right back. There we go. That's the loincloth all done. We're now going to deepen that and help the recesses kind of pop out a little bit with a little bit of Nuln Oil shade. And we're going to do an all-over shade of that on all of the red cloth. That is going to darken it down. I will do that, and I will be right back, guys. All right, there we go. We now have the black ink added to our pants. And it's been more than enough time to let the Celia green shade dry. So now it is time for the longest and most tedious part of this assignment. Small layer brush, some Ulthuan gray, and we're going to start painting back in most of the muscles. And this, again, is going to be a very tedious time. You want to hit the high spots, leave the low spots. If you've been following along with a lot of my videos, you know kind of what we're doing here. You want to leave that new depth from the shade. So we're just going to go through and we're going to do all of this, and this is what we're going to work on, and this is going to take frackin' forever. But it will make your guy look freaking awesome. So I'm just going to toil away at this. It's going to take me a bit. I will come back as soon as I'm done. Thought I'd give you guys a quick update of this is what I'm aiming to do for this entire model. This is taking me quite a bit of time. Probably a good 20-30 minutes or 15-20 minutes I've already been working on just this arm. But this is what I'm aiming for. So those of you who are painting along at home, so to speak, or painting along at home or as you're watching this video, that you kind of know what I'm going for. Not that I just kind of leave you and come back and whoosh, the whole body is done like this through the magic of television editing. I just wanted you guys to kind of see where I'm going with this. I'm missing the scales on purpose because we're going to go back in after those are all done, because God knows this isn't going to take us forever and a day. But we're going to use the fang on that, and that's going to give us that darkish blue-gray that we're going to use to hit up and make those scales kind of resemblance more of the artwork that we're going for. So with that, I'm going to get back to working on this, and again, through the magic of editing, I'll see you in literally a couple of seconds. Alright, we're back. Once again, I am still not finished. However, I did want to give another quick update. I want to keep you guys in the loop of how things are looking. And if you are doing the paint by numbers, this is kind of what we're going for. We want to get just a little bit of that greenish blue in there. And I think once we get the bluer scales running, it will really change the motif of this monster. But I've done just about half of him, as you can see as I put him on kind of the spin pedestal. He's there. I'm about halfway up the tail. Again, you want to kind of skip where all of the scales are. And we're just going to go all the way up the tail, and then we're going to do the other side. And I honestly think if you kind of split the work, as it were, into half, almost bisect him into a two-dimensional figure instead of a three-dimensional, it kind of just makes it a little bit easier for you to work on. A little easier to focus and not so overwhelming. When we got up here to the like this upper rib cage here, I did kind of skip like under here just to leave a little bit of shadow, a little bit of green. Because again, we're going to be looking at him from easily from there, and almost always is going to be like down on the ground. You're never going to see him up at an angle. So it's what it is. I'm just going to keep on working on this, and I'll get back to you with another update, hopefully when I'm done. So there we go. We now have the Uthwan Gray fully applied, and it has brought a lot of, I don't know, interesting character to this model. The next step that I'm going to do is we're going to switch over from the skin, and we're going to, we're going to put the, we're going to use the fang. And surprisingly, this is not going to go on his fangs, but this is going to be another labor-intense process, unfortunately, for those of you painting along. But you're going to paint here, all up his spines. But then what I plan on doing is each one of these, like, shard scales that is on him, like right here, I want to paint every one of those. But you want to be careful that you don't get it onto the grayish white. So I'm going to take my time, and I'll get back to you as soon as I'm done with that. All right, there we go. We now have all of his scales done, and it does bring quite a difference to him. So I was talking with my assistant as we're building and painting this guy, and we're trying to figure out what to do. And I think what I'm going to do, so we're making that ever popular audible that I like doing. We're going to take some Drakenhof Nightshade, and we're going to very carefully go over all of the scales and spines on this guy, exactly like we just did. And we're going to hit them all with the Drakenhof Nightshade, and that's going to darken them up a little bit. It's going to clean up any of the messes that we've made as far as, like, you know, just fine spots here we might have missed. And then we're going to, you know, it's going to give it a little bit more of a blue tinge. What I'm going to do, and I'll show you a little bit right here, what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to put just a little bit extra on when I go and do these scales up here, so that it kind of spills over and fills in the cracks. Because I'm looking to just bring a little bit of the blue highlighting into the flesh tone here. So something like that. So we're going to go with that, and I'm just going to keep on going and applying my blue ink the whole time we go here, looking to get some shade, some depth to these scales. And that's what we got. I'll be right back when I'm done. All right, there we go. Just that subtle blue highlighting around the skin near the scales, and just gives some depth of character to that, to those scales themselves and the spines. So now we're gonna, while we let that finish drying, we're gonna switch over to Abaddon Black. Abaddon Black, we are going to use for this little man's talons. Any of his claws, any of his talons, we're just gonna all right in there.
Little man.
Yep, little man. This little man and his amazingly large bear gator paw things. So we're gonna do all those on his hands, and of course down on his feet. I'll be back in a minute when I'm done. All right, there we go. We now have the black talons and added to this guy. He's getting pretty close to being done. So now it's time to work on the mush. That is a technical term, guys. The mush. So we're going to move to Zandri Dust, and we'll work on the teeth first. So it's literally fine teeth, paint them Zandri Dust. So if you're doing this on camera, make sure you're actually, you know, on camera when you're doing it, not above camera. But this is it. I'm gonna, probably a lot easier if I have this closer to me where I can see it. So I am going to paint this off camera, and I will be right back and show you what it looks like. There we go. We now got those mighty gnashers are there. He's actually missing quite a few, but it could just be the sculpt of the model that I got. But it is neither here nor there. For the moment, we're going to switch to Agrax Earthshade. We're going to apply that to his teeth, just to darken them down, give it some definition. Give it some definition. And then, while that's drying, we really only have one color left to go. And that is, we're going to do some moot green. If you look in the picture here, as I don't know, shove it in your face, it looks like he has a very almost poisonous tongue. So we're going to go, I'm going to give him that kind of bright green tongue and eyes. So we're going to paint right there. Right there is where we're putting that green paint. So I'm going to tidy that up, and I'm going to also do his eyeballs. And I can't do that steadily enough on camera, so I'll be right back. All right, there we go. We've added a couple of steps to this guy. I have gone in. Let me zoom in here into his mouth for you guys. I have. Oh, God. When you get that close with a camera, it looks awful. Hold on, let me fix that.
Notice where you messed up.
Well, no, it's the, you notice that your brushes don't really get where you want them to get without going over. Like that. Because now we've got red on his tongue that's supposed to be green. So we'll just tidy that up. Look, painting on the fly, kids. Painting on the fly. Alright, guys, here we go. So now that I got a nice close-up view of his mouth here. So we've got... I've painted the tongue green. I came back with the Mephiston red, and I did that... I don't know, the jawline, the
jaw webbing.
There you go, the jaw webbing, as you're being heard in the background. I painted his eyes green, and I just really didn't like them green. I thought they kind of blended in with the blue-green of his skin too much. And I want to give him a little bit of difference. I also went in with the Mephiston red. And now that I see it close up on camera, kinda, I guess we'll do that one. He's got to be super freaking careful so that you don't do what I just did. And splutch. But I also went in and I kind of highlighted the inside of his nostrils red. Wow. You know, when you look at stuff under a friggin' microscope like this, it sucks. There we go. But you can always go back in with your Oath One Gray white and tidy it up. So that's that. So really the only thing we got left to do is to do his teeth. We're going to brighten them up just a little bit to give it just that look of bone. We'll take a little bit on each tooth here. Like that, and kind of just gives them each a little bit of life. His teeth are kind of gross and rotting. So we got all of those. Oops, let me keep this in camera. Let me back this focus up just a little bit for y'all. And you're just really looking to hit kind of the tips of the teeth here. Not looking to get a full tooth, or all full tooth coverage, but you're just looking to add a little bit of detail, depth of character, awesomeness, whatever you want to call it. So here we go, here we go, here we go. So there we go, that's all of that. And then really all that's left to make this guy, cleaned up is to apply Dawnstone. I did tell you in the beginning that I was going to use White Scar, but of course, as always, that's kind of an afterthought. I think the albino-y skin look to him is bright enough here. I don't want to go any brighter. Just because I like the way it looks here. In fact, if anything, I might even consider doing an after effect and maybe even hitting it again with some Celia green shade and kind of darkening this back down. So we've got our Ushop deboning pile here is used. So then all that is left, as I have based all of my models for this set for Massive Darkness, is to pop out the Dawnstone. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and I'm going to give you guys the kind of final farewell and show you what he looks like when he's all done. Alright, and there we go. We got our basing material applied. Again, I just use a very basic Dawnstone just to clean up any pooling, any spotting, anything that you do on the base. Yes, this video has been filmed at 2 different times. As you can see, my store is dark. Once again, you're going to see it at that range roughly on your tabletop. I think this is going to add a lot of depth of character to this model, as always. Anything that's got paint on it versus an unpainted plastic model is boring to look at. That is what we're doing here. We're trying to get rid of the boring and enjoy. Now, that being said, there are a couple of things that I could see doing if I had time, but I'm running out of time in my painting day. I've already spent way too much physical world time painting this one. One of the things that I didn't do was do any highlighting to the cape. Like here, I'm just going to clean this piece up because I don't like the white on there. But, you know, a very simple one is what I'm doing right here on camera. You know, just kind of highlighting the edges with the original Mephiston red. That just helps bring some of the light back. That helps bring everything. You know, it just kind of pushes it all together and makes anything if you have overspills. So it's just simple things that you can do like that can always improve your levels. I mean, you could always go and bring it brighter. Now, with what I have of this picture looks dark, looks dingy, that looks disgusting. So that's kind of where I went with, and I left it at. I wanted that dark and, you know, not real happy color. So that is what I've got for you guys today for today's video. One Reptisaurus Rex. This is the way that I painted it. There are many ways you can paint it. I hope you liked this video. I hope it helps you with some ideas for painting yours. If there's a Massive Darkness figure or any other figure out there that you would like to see me paint, please post it in the comments down below. Make sure you hit the like button if you like this. If you hit the dislike, tell me what you disliked about it, and we can start a discussion in there. You can help me become a better painter, and I can help you, I don't know, fill a motif of wanting to pick on a YouTuber. I don't know. But that's what we got for you. And yet again, as I say at the end of every video now, if you are still not motivated or just don't have the time to paint your stuff, you can follow the link down below and reach me on Facebook at Warhammer Panda Painting or www.facebook.com/WarhammerPP. And we can get together and I can paint some miniatures for you. Thanks for checking this video out. Have a good day.